Welcome to TFR Newsroom, and this is your host, Swapnil Bhatia. Oracle recently announced Verrazzano Enterprise Container Platform, but what is it and what problem is it trying to solve? There are so many questions looking for answers. To get answers to these questions, we have with us Dave Cabelus, Senior Principal Product Manager at Oracle. Dave, it's great to have you on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's get into the basics. What exactly is this platform? What problem are you trying to solve with it?
Maybe we'll answer the problem question first, right? So we're seeing customers adopt more and more container technologies, right? They're writing applications in containers, but they're really looking for ways to move their existing applications into that same DevOps world, right? They want to get the same DevOps benefits. So that's sort of problem number one. Problem number two is managing container applications across multiple clouds, right? So multi-cloud was a talking point for a while, but now it's really a reality. We're seeing customers, looking to run Kubernetes clusters on premises in their own data centers, plus, Kubernetes clusters in public cloud platforms as well. But being able to manage those applications, including new microservices and existing applications that they want to move to containers, it's pretty challenging. So Verrazzano it's an enterprise container platform meant to really really take away some of the challenges there. It's a collection of open source components. Some of them are from community-led projects. I think Prometheus, Grafana, and some are from Oracle-led projects on GitHub. This is things like operators and controllers. And together, it forms a truly cohesive platform that enables you to really model an application. Even like you think about multiple microservices that you want to run together, maybe coupled with an existing application. Think like the Strangler Pattern. I want to deploy these as a unit. Verrazzano enables you to model that, and then enables you to actually push it to whatever cluster you want to push it to, and then it does a whole lot of heavy lifting beyond that, right? So instead of having to learn the intricacies around like an Istio service mesh and setting up network policies and so forth, Verrazzano really takes all that and says, okay, let's make this very simple for you. Give us 2 YAML files, deploy it into this environment, and Verrazzano does the rest of really goes the last 10 yards for you.
Since you're talking about cloud complexity, and of course, especially with the cloud native landscape, things are complicated. But there are so many other components that we do look at cloud. Security becomes a big, we talk about observability, and there are so many, not only moving pieces, there are so many also open source components there. So if you look at Verrazzano, what are the areas that, when you do say, hey, we are trying to make it easy for a user, what aspect are we talking about? Are we also talking about security, or we are just talking about, hey, getting everything and get up and running?
So it is, at multiple levels we're talking about solving these problems. So number one is, again, with the adoption of container technologies, we're seeing, people want to pull together a stack. So Oracle has pulled together a curated stack, where we scan for vulnerabilities, fix those vulnerabilities, and so forth. And then it's, as you deploy this stack, we actually set it up for you in a highly available way. So we make sure we set everything up so that it's truly production ready. And then speaking about security, so we create an Istio service mesh, and in that service mesh we make sure we require mutual TLS for all communication. You can turn that off if you want, but we really think everybody wants that anyway. And then we also ship with Keycloak as part of the solution. So we use Keycloak to protect Verrazzano itself. We use Keycloak for managing RBAC policies that you would need to deploy across your multiple Kubernetes clusters. So if you've got different projects within your environment and you have different people managing those projects, we use RBAC to protect those projects, and we protect them from within Keycloak. And then Keycloak can be used to protect your application itself, right? So you can use it to store users. You can use it to federate to something like an Active Directory you have somewhere else. So to kind of circle back around, it's like we really do try to solve these problems from the front to back, right? From rollout of the platform to rolling out applications to keeping things running, keeping things secure.
When I was listening to you, I not realized that the fact is that there are other players who are trying to solve the same kind of problem. So if I ask you, and you can be as diplomatic as you want, who are you competing against? What distinctive edge do you bring to the table so that customers should look at this platform?
So it's interesting. So when we ventured down this pathway, it was really driven by what are the pain points that we see customers having, right? And I kind of started with those up front, and then it became, how do we solve those? And as we developed this platform idea, it does kind of look like some other things, and it actually fits into a pretty nice space in the market, right? So we do fit in the same space as something like OpenShift, Tanzu, maybe Anthos. But what's different about Verrazzano is we really are looking at, we have a very large install base of Java EE customers. And these customers don't want to rewrite their applications. They want to be able to say, I just want those DevOps benefits. Help me get those into this world of containers, and then give me something that's going to be a general purpose platform, right? It's not just for Java EE applications. Where we differentiate really is in the handling of those workloads, like WebLogic workloads, coherence clusters. We really have deep knowledge around that, and we know how to make all of that work really well. So as you pick up your applications, you need to move them to containers. Verrazzano will really make that very smooth. The other thing is in multi-cloud, right? So there are other multi-cloud aspects of other platforms out there, but where Verrazzano does things differently is we really it was designed in from the beginning, basically with the idea of I have collections of things that I need to run together, and in order to run them together, I have to manage the life cycle to some degree together. So let me be able to say, if I want to run in a remote cluster, Verrazzano will create necessary namespaces, copy over required secrets, deploy operators that your application needs, push the custom resources that those operators need, set up the Istio service mesh, including a gateway, including network policies. We update the config map in that in the remote cluster and in the local Verrazzano central management cluster to capture metrics and then capture them, pull them to the central location. So multi-cloud is truly designed in from the beginning. So that's really that's what I'd say are top two value propositions. I'm going to throw one more in there just for good measure, right? It's cross-cloud consistency. So no matter where you deploy the Verrazzano in your applications, you use the same tools, you get the same results. Again, you don't have to learn multiple things, multiple environments to deploy your applications across multiple clouds.
Can you also talk about how does it fit into the whole, Oracle, infrastructure cloud picture and its strategy? Also, as a platform, how closely tied it is to Oracle Cloud?
Verrazzano fits into the Oracle Cloud ecosystem in a sense that just like the services that are developed in Oracle Cloud really center around a series of core requirements and design principles for modern application development. So Verrazzano uses those same exact principles, but we do provide a level of cloud agnosticism. So we know that there are a number of customers out there who aren't ready to move to Oracle Cloud, or they may have had other purchasing decisions. So if they want to run on premises or run elsewhere, Verrazzano works really well. We also do integrate with the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Services. So for example, we run on Oracle Container Engine for Kubernetes, OKE, we call it for short. We leverage storage in that case. We leverage networking. We leverage OCI DNS as all part of that. You can also plug into the metric service and the logging service. And then we have a number of integrations coming up. There are some new services coming in OCI, and as they roll out, we will integrate with them. So it'll run really well on OCI, and it runs really well elsewhere also.
Since we are talking about Oracle Cloud, and if you look at, of course, as you mentioned, Oracle's customer, and it's just beyond Oracle customer. Once again, if you can just kind of reiterate, what does it mean for cloud customers? Because last year, because of pandemic, a lot of people rushed towards the cloud, but that was more or less like, rush without any very well thought out strategy. And now people are kind of settling down. They're realizing that a hangover period is over, and they are actually, dealing with the complexity, as you earlier mentioned, and all the other challenges that they were not prepared. Cost is also one of the factors. So what does it mean for those customers who rushed into it, were also those people who were consuming cloud for a very long time?
When we think about adopting Verrazzano, which is what I think that boils down to that question, right? So if I'm a customer who's already running things in the cloud, you can now use Verrazzano to give you the components that you're probably already using, right? That you're already augmenting your Kubernetes clusters with, right? And this way, again, it gives you that cloud agnostic layer. So if you think I'm going to run things on Oracle Cloud, I'm going to run things on premises. So now, instead of say, I'm going to use something in Oracle Cloud, I'm going to use something else on premises. We get the same behavior, same tools, and that is one of the things that we have been hearing from customers, is that there's a need for sort of a standardization. Like I have all these choices. How do I make this work? How do I make the choices simplified? How do I make the solution simplified? And that's really where Verrazzano comes in and does that. And there's nothing, I would say there's nothing to stop anybody from maybe having like preconceived or pre-configured their own stack to then easily move to Verrazzano, because it is built from a number of familiar components. Familiar was important for us as we picked the components to include in Verrazzano, because we really didn't want to force customers to learn something brand new here. So think Prometheus, Grafana, FluentD, it's all part of this. Rancher, maybe that's a little less common than there's others, but it's getting a lot of traction in the market. Oracle's been on this journey for a while, right? So we've been providing some solutions that Verrazzano builds on. So there's a thing called a WebLogic Kubernetes Toolkit that enables you to introspect a WebLogic domain, create an image from it, deploy it. Coherence is part of this mix too. And so Coherence is a great state management platform for existing applications and new microservices. We open sourced Coherence a year ago, and that, why really was to make it really very available to more development teams. So when I think about this, it's like, okay, so we've started helping customers on this journey towards application modernization through being able to lift and shift, plus write new apps. And then this platform that we're talking about, so it kind of builds on that, but then it's two more things, right? So it bundles Coherence Enterprise Edition with it. And then we also provide Oracle support for Helidon, which is a Java framework for writing new microservices. It's microprofile compliant. We also provide Oracle support for Micronaut, another Java framework, and we provide Oracle support for Spring Boot. So it's not only existing applications or traditional applications, it really is, you can come to Oracle to get the platform plus the support you need for your applications.
Dave, thank you so much for taking time out today and talk about this platform. And I would love to have you back on the show. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me.